So just for those of you who just walked in, we will have a quiz on Wednesday, which will involve material similar to what we have here. And tonight's homework is pages 7 through 9. You can skip questions 2, 3, and 4. The homework will also be similar to the types of questions I'll ask on the quiz. Going through this, it was just reading straight off the reference table. So we were looking for sulfur, the hardness, and the uses. So here's sulfur, the hardness is 2, and the use is to make sulfuric acid. So you should have had this filled in, 2 and sulfuric acid. Breakage and color for garnet. So garnet's down at the bottom. Remember, breakage is whether it has cleavage or fracture. So cleavage is on the left of the line, fracture is on the right. Garnet is on the right, so it has fracture, and its color is dark red to green. So this should have been fracture. Dark red to green. Distinguishing characteristics and luster for galena. Galena is at the top. It is a metallic, and you could have done any or all of these. So you could have said it had a gray black streak, cubic cleavage, or a density of 7.6. Guys, why do they tell you the density for just that one mineral? What do you think about that? Density of 7.6. How's that sound to you?
It's pretty freaking dense.
Okay, it's pretty freaking dense. I agree. Remember, water has a density of 1. This mineral, galena, it definitely sinks, no doubt about it. It's this shiny, I know you're not supposed to use that, but it is a shiny one. It is a bad word. But when you pick this one up, I mean, it's not heavy, but it's way heavier than you would think for one this size. And that's actually a dead giveaway that this one is galena. So anytime you pick up one and it's just way heavier, all the rest that are about the same size are way lighter because there's less. In the more dense one, there's more atoms packed in that size. So again, here you would have had luster of metallic. And distinguishing characteristics, you could have put any or all of them. So gray, black streak. Density of 7.6 or cubic cleavage. And calcite composition, right off of here. If you have, one thing you have to do with the chemical composition these are the letters off the periodic table. If you remember from 8th grade when they briefly mentioned this, and maybe they didn't for you guys, it's hard to say. You got to keep capitals, capitals, and lowercase, lowercase with this. So that's CaCO3 written like that. And it has a hardness of 3. Filling in the rest, they gave you that it was metallic, a hardness of 6.5, fracture and yellow. So that first one should have been pyrite, and you would have filled it in that it's a ore of sulfur. Does anybody know what an ore is, by the way? It has nothing to do with the canoe.
Piece.
Kind of. So an ore of sulfur means it's a thing that you can get sulfur out of. So they will take pyrite and then pull the sulfur out of pyrite, then so that they can then use the sulfur however they need to. So and lots of these say, so like this one is an ore of iron. So it means they take hematite and they pull the iron out of it and then use the iron however they need to. So an ore is just someplace they get something else from. This next one, non-metallic, has a hardness of 2 and is white. That one gives us selenite gypsum. And its use is drywall. This next one is talc, and it's non-metallic, and it has cleavage. The next one is biotite mica, which is also non-metallic. All that's filled in. And then you can just fill in the rest for graphite. Graphite has, it's metallic, is a hardness of 1 to 2. It has cleavage, silver to gray, and it's used for pencil lead and lubricant. And then hematite is either hardness of 5.5 to 6.5 or 1. It has fracture, metallic silver or earthy red, and it's used either as an ore of iron or for jewelry. And at the bottom, a complete sentence how cleavage is different than fracture. Cleavage breaks in straight, flat surfaces. Who the heck is he? Oh, what does he know? Clearly nothing if he said that that was wrong. Cleavage is when it breaks in straight, flat surfaces. Fracture, if you want to add that, fracture. Oh, he is clueless then. What elements combine to form halite? You could have answered this 2 different ways. You could have said Na and Cl, which is sodium and chloride. I would have accepted either one of these. Remember that they tell you what they are down at the bottom. Calcite is CaCO3. So we've got calcium, carbon, and oxygen. Did you guys count these up? How many have cleavage? I also had 14. How about fracture? There are 7 of them with fracture. All right. So like I said, you do have to finish page 7, page 8. And you know what? Let's skip page 9 for you guys. We'll get to that. I'm not worried. So 7 and 8. So there weren't many left on page 9 anyway. So just 7 and 8. Sorry to confuse you. So your homework is pages 7 and 8. It is straight off the reference table, so you'll need your reference table to complete that. So real quick, if you could turn your paper to page 4. As that page is titled, there's just some things you have to know about minerals. Page 4, I don't know if I said that correctly before. Page 4, there's just some things you just got to know about minerals. So for everything we've done about minerals, you could look up on the reference table. You can look up the color, the hardness, the cleavage, the fracture. But there's some things you just got to know. I don't see these asked about too often, which is why we're just doing quick fill in the blank notes for these. But I do want to make sure you have them. So it starts off the elements blank and blank combine to form tetrahedral units. Together, the mass of these 2 elements are most abundant in the Earth's crust. Have we ever heard of, oh, Shelby already knew where I was going with this. Have we ever heard of the phrase most abundant in the Earth's crust before? When did we talk about that? A while ago, and I'll hint, we used a reference table. Yeah, your ESRT. Who remembers where you would look if I said, what are the 2 most abundant elements in the Earth's crust? Front page, bottom. So if everybody could flip there to the front page of the reference table. Is this not sounding familiar? Actually, no, this is very good. Michael's looking at me like I have never spoke these words before. Oh, we found them. So let me just show you guys. But they did say what 2 elements are most abundant. Yes. Oxygen and silicon are the most abundant elements in the Earth's crust. It's silicon, yeah. Silicone is a compound made with silicon. Anyway, so what they're saying is, since oxygen and silicon are the two most abundant elements, it means that most of the minerals that you'll find are probably made of oxygen and silicon. So if you look down the back now, of course, the first four don't have oxygen and silicon. Neither does the first five, but this one, O and Si. O and Si. So there's 1, 2 so far. O and Si, 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 O and Si. So quite a few of them on the back page of the reference table have those. And so what do we need to know about those? We'll fill those in right here. So screen share here. The first bullet says that the elements silicon and oxygen combine to form tetrahedral units. I'll show you what a tetrahedral unit are in 1 second. But like we said, together the mass of these two elements are the most abundant in the Earth's crust. So fill those in if you haven't already. Oxygen and silicon. These are officially called silicates. So any mineral that has Si and O in it are called silicates. Now I said they form tetrahedral units. What's a tetrahedral unit? It's these pyramid shapes. So if all you need to know is that silicates are Si and O, and they make these tetrahedron units. You don't need to understand how or why, you need to know that they do. This is important because what did we say last week? The physical properties of minerals depend on, anybody remember? The way they're bonded. So that's the last part. The physical properties of a mineral depends on, the Regents refers to it as the internal arrangement of atoms. Does this, by the way, belong to anybody? It was turned in last week. There's a bunch of missing work and there's no names on it, but this was on the back. So if you did that, I need a name. You're not in trouble. I just don't want to give you a 0. So the physical properties, the color, the texture, the luster, the hardness, the whatever else that I haven't listed is all controlled by how the atoms are put together. The best example of this are diamonds and graphite. Do you know what those two things are? They are minerals. Graphite's the tip of your pencil. Diamond is a diamond from a ring. They are both made of, the only thing they're made out of is carbon. So they legit have the same chemical formula, just carbon, which you'd think would mean they'd be similar, right? But they're not. They're very, very different. Diamonds, you know, are used for jewelry or for cutting really hard things. Graphite, on the other hand, is so weak, you can wipe it on a piece of paper. You can also powder up graphite and use it as a lubricant. So fill those in. Yeah, so that's that one that when you picked it up in lab, it was super greasy feeling. So when it's powdered up, you could put it as a lubricant. I don't know, I meant to look. Have you ever changed brakes? The brake, is it brake seal? Is that what it's called? I have a feeling that is made out of graphite. If it's not, it's made out of something very similar. Not that I've changed brakes, but I've watched my husband do them a lot. I provide moral support every time he does it. It always seems like he needs moral support because it always looks like to me that in the end of it, I'm not going to have a car left, but I always do. Yeah, it saves us a ton of money, but I always worry that we're going to have to like have a tow truck come tow the truck to someone who can use special machinery to do it. All right, moving on. Of the thousands of the, what does it say? It says of the thousands of known minerals, only a few are found almost everywhere. So most minerals are rare, but the few that are found everywhere, they're really common. So if you know how to identify about a dozen or about the 21 that are on the back of our reference table, you'll be able to find name the minerals in just about any rock you'll find here in New York State. So in other words, if you can identify these using your reference table, you can pick up just about any rock in your backyard and tell me the minerals that are in it. Then it says nearly all rocks are composed of one or more minerals. And that's because minerals are the building block of most rocks. Some exceptions include coal and limestone. Coal and limestone do not have minerals in them. You sure? So since minerals are found just about everywhere, and almost all rocks are made of minerals, I think we have a good question to ask. And the question you need to ask is, what is a mineral? We don't know. We have lots of examples of minerals. We have 21 examples on the back of our reference table. But you need to be able to tell me if something is or isn't a mineral. And that's the only thing about minerals that we've skipped so far. We skipped it on the front page. Everybody could turn to the front page of your reference table. Not reference table. What am I thinking? I meant packet. I see Justin flipping his paper over. I'm like, why is he touching his blue packet? I didn't say that, but I did, didn't I? We skipped the front page. And the front page will tell us what a mineral is. So far, like I said, we've done a bunch of examples, but I never told you what a mineral is. At the very, I'm going to go this way. At the very, very top, sorry, zoomed in like this. At the very, very top of this page, I would like you to write this definition. So this goes in that banner at the very top where it says minerals. You may have to squeeze this in. So if you write really big, you might have to go underneath it, which is fine with me. A mineral is something that is naturally occurring, inorganic solid with a definite crystalline structure and a specific chemical composition. I'll let you write that and then we'll talk. So if it doesn't all fit in there, so I should have put that mineral at the top of the banner. I'm not sure what happened. All 5 of those need to go in there. So the definition of a mineral is something that's naturally occurring inorganic solid with a definite crystalline structure and a specific chemical composition. There, do you now know what a mineral is? No. This is the worst definition I have ever read. But this is how the Regents words it. This is how it's worded. This is the official definition of a mineral. But I think it's awful. Because do you know what any of that means? So you might know what some of it is. So what I want to do in the next 5 boxes is define the definition. So in other words, each one of these means its own definition. So I hate that the Regents makes us define a definition, but we do. We have to break apart this definition to make sure you know what all 5 of these mean. Because to be a mineral, the object has to be all 5. So really, instead of thinking of this as a definition, I want you to think of this more as a checklist. If I hand you something, you have to be able to check off. Is it naturally occurring? Is it inorganic? Is it a solid? Does it have a definite crystalline structure? And does it have a specific chemical composition? Before you can check that off, let's make sure you know what each one of those mean. So in one of the boxes, I don't care which one. Let's start with naturally occurring. Can you, and you have already saw it, what is something that's naturally occurring? Grass is naturally, don't write that. Oh, okay, oil is naturally occurring. What does it mean for something to be naturally occurring? Happens by itself, happens in nature. So what doesn't happen is it's not man-made. So in one of the boxes, write naturally occurring and write that it's not man-made or human-made for that matter. You listed some things. Grass is naturally occurring. Oil is naturally occurring. What else are some things that are naturally occurring? Rocks are naturally occurring. Okay, dogs are naturally occurring. Yes, of course, some breeds have been altered by humans, but animals are naturally occurring. Trees, oxygen, all that stuff. What are some things that are not naturally occurring? Well, I guess technically humans, yeah. But what are some other things that you might like? Computers. Goes more simple than that. Clocks. Go even more simple than that.
Paper.
Paper is not naturally occurring. Parts of paper are, like what it's made out of is, but you can't just go find a paper mine. And there's paper there. I was getting more towards like plastic. Plastic's not naturally occurring. Glass is not naturally occurring for the most part. Some types of metal aren't, but we don't need to get into that. But mostly plastics is what I was making sure you understand are not naturally occurring. How about inorganic? What does inorganic mean? Go simple. What does inorganic mean? It means not organic. But what does it mean to be organic? Okay, I have more than just Jake in this class. Jake, I need you to remember I have more than just you two. I appreciate you participating, but the rest of the class needs to talk to. Thanks, Jake, I appreciate it. Guys, what does it mean to be organic? What's the first thing that comes in your head? Oh, who said that? That is what it means to be organic. Means it's an organism. So what does that mean to you guys? What's an organism? Keep it simple. But Mr. Job would be over here jumping and yelling and doing backflips in front of you guys to make you remember this. What is it? Was that you, Jesse? Who was that? Who's, huh? Who said it was a living thing? You did? So between the two of you guys back there, we got it. Something that is organic is an organism, which means it was alive. So what's inorganic? Not alive. By the way, it doesn't mean it's not only is it not alive right now, it means it never was alive, which is different than being dead. Dead was alive. So you can't just tell me something that's dead. It has to be something that was never alive. And it never will be alive. That's what inorganic means. Not alive, never was alive, never will be alive. A rock. We get rid of the grass before. Also, let's talk about oil. Oil was naturally occurring. It happens without humans. But oil is what kind of fuel? Fossil fuel. So Danny, what's that mean to you? If something's a fossil fuel, where did it come from? The ground, what made out of what? Fossil fuel. With living things. If something's a fossil, isn't a fossil something that was alive? So a fossil fuel cannot be a mineral because it was alive. I think you guys know what a solid means. To me, it just means it's not a liquid or a gas. There's a better definition that you might learn in chemistry next year, but this is good enough for now. It's not a liquid or a gas. So speaking of oil, oil's off the chart already, but here's another reason oil would not be a mineral, because it's a liquid. Now the next one is definitely more sciencey than the first three. Definite crystalline structure means that the atoms are arranged in a repeating shape. Remember, we talked about those tetrahedral units. So anything that's got a silicate is arranged in those tetrahedrals. We talked about last time that halides always going to be in cubes. Calcite is in those rhombuses. This is not something you as a 10th grade student or me as even just a science teacher can look inside of an element or a mineral and see what shape they are. You'll just have to take my word for it for some of these. And are you ready for the last one or not yet? Everybody still writing? The last one is a specific chemical composition. That means that every mineral has its own chemical composition made up of its own elements on the reference table. I'm passing out your tests. I want you to keep these out in front of you. Michael, here's some old stuff of yours. Does everybody have their test? All right, everybody take that test out in front of you. So remember you have homework. You do have homework, but I want to give you back your test. Do you remember the test correction policy? You have until a week from today to do the retakes if you want to retake the test. But what I want you to do, because nothing is marked on this test, I want you to go through right now like you're grading it. Which means if you got it wrong, I want you to mark the right answer down, okay? Do you have a different color than what you use? Do this. You are correcting your paper. Yeah, it was the last one put in. Need any more, anybody? I think I got it. Let Mr. D know if you don't have one yet. Okay, so again, you are great. You're being the teacher right now. I already know your grade, so it's not what it's about. But you just need to correct your test right now. Ready? The answer to number 1 is 4. So if you got it wrong, circle it and mark the right answer. Hey, Carlos, can you go for a walk real quick? The answer to number 1 is 4. Number 2 is 1. Number 3 is 3. And number 4 is 2. So that page should be 4, 1, 3, 2. Number 5, the answer is 1. Number 6, the answer is 3. Number 7 is 2. And 8 is 4. Number 9, the answer is 1. 10 is 4. 11, 3. 12, 1. That page should be 1, 4, 3, 1. $13, 2. 14, 3. 15, 2. 16, 3. That page is 2, 3, 2, 3. 17, 4. 18, 2. 19, 1. So that page should have been 4, 2, 1. And finally, on the back, 20 is 1. 22, 2. 23, no, I don't know what I just did. 20 is 1. 21 is 2. 22 is 3. 23 is 3. 24 is 3. And 25 is 2. They were worth 4 points each. So you can take how many you got wrong, multiply that by 4, and subtract that from 100. Or if you want an easier way of doing it, you can count however many you got right and multiply by 4. Or just check Power School because I put your grade there. If you do not like your grade, the same process as last time. You write out the question. You write out the correct answer. If you miss one question, that won't take you long. If you miss 10 questions, that might take you a while. But then I need you to study. I need you to figure out what you did wrong. To do that, you can see me during a study hall, during resource, before or after school. See Mr. D. Ask for help. You can ask us for help on chat. We'll help you out. Then you need, so after you're done studying, you need to take a similar but different test. And I will take the higher of the 2 grades. And that needs to all be done by next Monday. The end.